And I already know what you guys are gonna say, Samsung fanboy, blah blah blah. You don't know whatever, this and that. I'm saying a whole lot of nothing right now. I'm yapping. But either way, get in the comment section. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me you hate me. Tell me this and that. And I will gladly reply. I will gladly laugh. All right, what's good, everyone? We are back here with another video in the car, obviously my whip. And anyways, let's talk about the OnePlus Open. So as you know, I switched back to the OnePlus Open. People have called me a Samsung fanboy, so I want to give it another chance, see what it's saying, and if it's actually good, worth switching over to being my main device and potentially getting rid of the Z Fold 5 for the OnePlus Open. And I'm here to report in. So there's a couple things in my second experience with the OnePlus Open. The OnePlus Open is a great device. Really good device. Some things I really appreciated about it are the aesthetic, the design. I feel like it's a beautiful looking device. Every time I pick it up, I'm thinking like, wow, this thing looks so good. It's very nice. I like the clean green, the shininess, the matte finish at the back. I even like the color of the case, but at the same time, the case is not good quality, even though it is a nice gesture to include it in the box for some protection while maybe you get something better. So I appreciate the case, but the case is not that good. But overall, the look of the phone is amazing. Some other things I appreciate about the phone is the fast charging. The battery life is good in general, although I don't think it's better than the Z Fold 5's battery life in my usage. Like on more chill days, I feel like the Z Fold 5 lasts me a longer time than the OnePlus Open. Maybe it's the brightness, brighter screens. Maybe it's the smaller screen of the Z Fold 5 on the outer display, or maybe it's the LTPO stuff not really working on the OnePlus Open, because that's something that I'll get into later on in this video. But overall, the battery life is good, and then the charging speeds are amazing. You can charge really fast. But at the same time, somebody in one of my previous videos commented and said like, yeah, the OnePlus Open charges faster, but then when you think about like the charging curve of these devices, it's not that big of a difference on the top end. So if you're charging to 100, it's not drastically different from the Z Fold 5. So if you're charging from like, let's say 0 to 70%, the charging curve and the speed is not going to be that drastically different from the Z Fold 5 and the OnePlus Open. Of course, faster charging speed is better regardless, doesn't really matter, but I didn't really feel like it was a huge difference in my everyday life. And like I said, battery life is really good on these phones, so I'm not really charging it that often anyways, like once a day. In my general experience, if the phone is smooth, I really appreciate the animations. I think they just look nice. The aesthetic is cool of the software. Like I really like how the software and the UI looks. They designed it really well, really clean. It's a nice aesthetic. Some things that I didn't like, this might be controversial, but at first I was excited for Open Canvas, the new multitasking mode of the OnePlus Open. But to be honest, in my time using it more extensively, I just feel like it's good, but I feel like I rather what Samsung is doing. And you might have heard this in previous videos if you watched them, but I feel like the Z Fold 5's multitasking is more flexible and it just fits my workflow better. Like everything that I do with these foldable phones. So let me explain. So with the OnePlus Open and Open Canvas, you can have up 3 apps. You can kind of resize them. Like each app has like 2 sizes in Open Canvas. So you can have the vertical layout or like a full screen expanded mode. This is okay. It works well. Like I'm not gonna say it functions bad, because it works well. It runs well. There's no issues with that. But like it's not flexible. Like people say like, why would you want to have something very small or whatever squished on a screen? But for me, like certain things I want to see it at all times. And like with the OnePlus Open, you can zoom out with Open Canvas, a 4-finger pinch to zoom out. But it's so small, like when you do that it's like, what's the point of even doing it? And you can interact with the apps, but it's not a good experience, if I'm being really honest. On the Z Fold 5, if I have 3 apps on the screen, I can resize them to however I want. And sometimes I have apps really small. So like let's say I'm using the calculator, I will have the calculator really small on the Z Fold 5 as one of the 3 apps on the screen. And then I will punch in whatever information, whatever numbers I need to. And then let's say I have notes, I can put the numbers there, and then I can keep reading off of a web page for things I need to calculate. So I'm reading, then I'm calculating with the small calculator, and then I'm writing in my notes. That's just an example of how I use triple split screen. And then the flexibility, being able to adjust the size of each app on the fly very smoothly. On the Z Fold 5, you can grab the toggle and slide it to different, sizes very easily. Versus the Open Canvas, it's either vertical or it's expanded. There's only 2 options. It's not as flexible. I like freedom. I like to be able to, just manipulate things, like when it comes to like computing exactly to how I want it. This is kind of like on Windows. When you're using a Windows PC, even a Mac, I don't know about you, but I don't always have everything open full screen or everything split screen on a computer. Sometimes I will have my Google Chrome browser open like in a, kind of like a rectangle, and then I'll have another app here, another app there, and I'll interact with them as I need them. I'll drag them across the screen as I need them. I don't always do split screen on a computer because I really like the ability to have different windows at different sizes. So I'll adjust it on the fly as I need it. So the Z Fold 5 gives me that kind of similar experience. And then this is another thing. On top of that, with floating windows, it's more flexible than the OnePlus Open. So the OnePlus Open can do floating windows. It works well, but it doesn't give you as much freedom and flexibility as the Z Fold 5's floating windows. And then on top of that, the Z Fold 5 can have unlimited floating windows. OnePlus Open can only do one at the moment. For me, I know not everybody's like me, but when I'm using these folding phones, I want the most and I want the best experience. So another scenario, just to explain it a little bit more, I'm on my Z Fold 5 and I'm doing triple split screen multitasking. And I'm like, oh shoot, what date is it? All I need to do is swipe with my thumb from the edge panel, grab the calendar, boom, I'm good to go. Or from the taskbar, grab the calendar and I just drag and drop it into floating windows and it's there. I can open it. I can make it bigger if I want to, or I can make it smaller, manipulate the floating window very easily, very quickly. And then I can also adjust the opacity if I want to. But in that scenario, I want to check the calendar real quick just to see, whatever it is in the context of my triple split screen setup. Then I'll do that very quickly, very easily. On the OnePlus Open, you can do something similar to that. It's just not as smooth in my opinion. And then also it's very limited. So with the taskbar on the OnePlus Open, you can drag and then hold. It will recognize you're trying to do floating window and then you can release and it will do it. Or you have to drag it to a specific spot. Either way, Z Fold 5, go to the middle, floating windows, I can manipulate it. OnePlus Open's floating windows, it's a specific aspect ratio that you can't manipulate and you can't change the opacity, you can't pin it so that it never gets closed or nothing can go on top of it. Yeah, there's so many things that the Z Fold 5 just does, little things that just makes it a better experience overall for me. So I know it's a OnePlus Open video, but this is me talking about my experience and how I feel about it. So anyways, multitasking is good on OnePlus Open, but it's not as smooth, it's not as flexible, and it's not as good as the Z Fold 5's multitasking. That's just how I feel after using it a little bit more. And to be honest, Open Canvas, I'm not saying like it's overall bad or anything like that, but for me personally, I feel like it's a little bit annoying because you got to bounce back and forth. Like if you're using 3 apps, you got to keep going, boom, 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 back and forth. And it can be annoying, to be honest. I'd rather just have everything on the screen in their specific spots, their specific sizes that I allocate to them. So having to jump back and forth is kind of annoying. It kind of reminds you of doing something productive on the iPhone. I don't know if you guys have used iPhones recently or just in general, but with my 15 Pro Max, like let's say I'm logging into an app and I need to find a password. I have to open up Google Chrome. It takes up the whole screen because iPhones don't have floating windows or a split screen. Then I go to my passwords and iPhones don't have clipboards. I copy the username. I swipe back to the app, put it in. Then I swipe back to Google Chrome to see my passwords. Copy the passwords, swipe back, I paste the password, I log in. And then let's say I need to check an email. Now I'm going to have to go and open the email. Then I need to copy information from that email to the app that I just logged into. So I got to swipe back to the other app, copy and paste in the email, then swipe back and paste it in the other app. So it's a lot of swiping back and forth. And that's what the OnePlus Open Canvas reminds me of. A lot of back and forth, like on the iPhone where you don't have actual multitasking. It's just boom, boom. You got to keep going back and forth. It's kind of rough, to be honest, when you experience something as good as the Samsung multitasking features. So those are my thoughts on multitasking. And the reason why I spent so much time on it is because how I use folding phones, this is how I use them. This is what I focus on. This is what is the purpose of folding phones for me. Being productive and also just having amazing multitasking capabilities. And another thing that really bothers me is just the fact that the LTPO doesn't work. Like it's either 120 hertz or 60 hertz, and a lot of apps are just locked to 60 hertz unless you set the phone to always be at 120 hertz. But even that, I find it doesn't actually work in every app. So that's just annoying. Like it kind of takes you out of the smooth experience that it already is. And people might think like, why do you need 120 hertz on something that you're not doing? Like you're not playing a game. Why do you need 120 hertz? But part of 120 hertz benefits is that things are just more smooth and more clear. So like if I'm scrolling through text, I'm on a website and I'm reading something, a screen that refreshes at 120 hertz will show you the text more clearly. And a screen that refreshes at 60 hertz or lower than 120 hertz will show you it more jittery, more fuzzy. So it's not going to be as clear and it's not going to be as smooth. And for me, a big portion of me enjoying a device and the experience on a device is the smoothness and the animations. So if I'm constantly going back to 60 hertz, I'm going to be annoyed about that. And then the fact that I have to lock it to 120, it doesn't use the technology that they put into the phone to make it more efficient and say battery life, is kind of whack, to be honest. And people say it's not that big of a difference in terms of battery life, but 120 hertz all the time will drain your battery more than LTPO, going down to 60 and saving battery life. And just a little bit more of an example for the 120 hertz being locked or whatever. So my wife, with her Z Flip 5, all her Z Flips, she always puts her phone to 60 hertz because she doesn't really see the higher refresh rate and she doesn't care for that feature anyways. Sometimes she forgets to put it to 60 hertz, right? She forgets to turn off 120 hertz, and her battery life is drastically different from on versus just 60 hertz all the time. And I know it's not exactly the same because LTPO technology goes up and down depending on what you're doing. But I don't know, like for these kind of phones, productive, you're trying to use it all day long, do different things like play games, watch videos, get work done. In my opinion, I think you would want every little ounce of battery life that you can get. So if LTPO is going to help the phone be more efficient and save me battery life, I think that should work. So now let's talk a little bit about cameras. So the OnePlus Open, a lot of people say, it's the best foldable cameras. And to be honest, after using it some more, and you'll see my camera comparison video, I think that is true. I haven't used all the Chinese photobows because obviously they're not available here in Canada, and I'm not trying to spend so much money on a phone that I probably won't have warranty help with if something goes wrong. But somehow I ended up with this Pixel Fold. It's not a Chinese phone, but at least if I really need to, I can go next door to America and try to get it fixed, or I can order parts on iFixit for an absurd price. But I think the OnePlus Open has the best foldable cameras. So far with this Pixel Fold, I've been using it for a little bit. I'm not impressed with the cameras. People say these are the best foldable phone cameras, and just really good cameras in general. It has the Pixel magic, and I do agree that Pixels usually have the best cameras. But to be honest, I'm not impressed with these cameras. When I use the OnePlus Open's cameras, I'm impressed with them. Like just the natural fall off of the bokeh and the focus when it's focusing on something that's closer up. The separation of the subject and the background, just really good, really clean, and it looks nice. It doesn't oversaturate, over-sharpen images. The OnePlus Open doesn't heavily rely on, AI and algorithms and computational photography to make an image look good. The OnePlus Open relies on its hardware more than other foldable phones, especially the Z Fold 5. I think, personally, the Z Fold 5 has a really good camera. Obviously, it's not going to be the best of the best. It's not going to be better than the flagships. But I think it's a really good camera, and I'm happy with it. I'm using the front camera of the Z Fold 5 right now. I know it's not going to be the crispiest image, but it's also not a good lighting situation anyways. All that to say, I think it's a good camera, but the OnePlus Open's camera is better, and it just does a great job. On all cameras, the ultra wide is really good. 64 megapixel ultra wide. You don't really see that too often. I'm looking forward to the OnePlus Open 2 to see what they do with the cameras. Hopefully we get like full flagship level camera. Bro, a folding phone with full flagship level cameras, it's over. It's actually over for everybody, because in my opinion, something like that will be the best smartphone camera system ever, because having a foldable phone is just so flexible. So right now I have my Z Fold 5, it's propped up, right now I can see the front screen, and the front camera is looking at me, and then I have my mic connected to it. Imagine if it had flagship level cameras. Imagine if it had actual flagship cameras, as good as the S24 Ultra, the 16 Pro Max that's to come out later this year, and all the other top tier phones. That would be amazing, because foldable phones are just very flexible. You can do so many different things with them. That's why I'm mentioning the position of my phone right now. Imagine this, OnePlus Open 2, big dutty camera that is flagship level. I have it propped up like this. I put it somewhere. People are trying to get a photo of everybody. We're gathering together to get a group photo at an event, and they're like, who got the best camera? And everyone's like, oh, let me ask somebody to hold it. And I'm like, nah, hold on. I got my OnePlus Open 2. I'm going to prop it up here on the ledge back there. And then boom, we're going to all step back, put my hand up, and they will take the picture, because that's something that the OnePlus Open can do as well. And then boom, flagship level picture of the whole group. And it looks really good. So all I'm saying is, if OnePlus comes back and they improve the OnePlus Open cameras with the 2 this year, even though these cameras are already really good, it's going to be amazing. The game is going to be unlocked. I'm hoping that everybody just put good cameras in your devices. Actually, hold on, let me rephrase that. Put flagship cameras in your devices, because why not? I agree with the sentiment that we pay a lot of money, we should get the best of the best features. Although I do also believe that these cameras are already good enough anyways. So yeah, there's that. That's all the camera stuff. But yeah, in terms of everyday usage of the OnePlus Open, like I said, the charging is good, battery life is good, but I don't appreciate not having wireless charging. I just feel like it's such a basic thing. They could have just put it in there, bro. you know, and call it a day. When I'm in my Tesla, I can't put the OnePlus Open on the wireless charger if I need to. I gotta plug it in, and I don't always have, you know, USB-C cords plugged in because it's just not something that I do. Like I said, I don't find myself in that position too often. But like, let's say I want to top up throughout the day so that I can have my OnePlus Open fully charged at the end of the day, where I'm really going hard video editing on it. And video editing is something that will kill any device faster. You know, sometimes I might charge a little bit more so that I can work harder without having to plug in. So yeah, there's that. And my main things with the OnePlus Open is just the software is just not there yet with Samsung. It's not as good, and I think that it can improve. I hope it does improve with the OnePlus Open 2. The form factor is also not my favorite. I prefer the slimmer display of the Z Fold 5, and then I also prefer this more than the OnePlus Open. Like, I like this. This is nice and holdable, bro. It reminds me of the 13 mini, the iPhone 13 mini, and it's just nice. It also reminds me of the Surface Duo. The Surface Duo 2 is like my favorite aspect ratio screen. I know it's not perfect for all the apps, but yeah, the Pixel Fold is probably my favorite foldable form factor. Like, when I got this, bro, and when I first got this Pixel Fold, promise you I was smiling. I was like, no way, this is the device that people are saying was trash and saying, you know, it feels cheap, all these different things. I'm like, no way, this device feels sick. This feels like way better than any foldable phone I've used, like in terms of like the hardware and, you know, holding it and stuff like that. It's definitely heavy for sure. Anyways, we'll talk more about the Pixel Fold in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe. But yeah, so here's how I'm gonna close this video. The OnePlus Open is an amazing phone. Best foldable camera, fastest charging foldable phone in North America. Really good multitasking and software features, more than the Pixel Fold, but not quite as up there as the Z Fold 5. It's just a solid choice. You can't go wrong with it. It's just not as good as the Z Fold 5. That's as simple as I can put it. So the OnePlus Open, I'm not going to be keeping it. I'm going to be keeping my Z Fold 5. I'm testing out the Pixel Fold right now. And yeah, man, I don't think the OnePlus Open is my favorite foldable. The Z Fold 5 will still be in that spot just for all the features it offers and all the things you can do with it, the software, everything. But really good product. I'm excited to see what OnePlus does. And I already know you guys are going to say Samsung fanboy, blah, blah, blah. You know, you don't know whatever, this and that. I'm saying a whole lot of nothing right now. I'm yapping. But either way, get in the comment section. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me you hate me. Tell me this and that. And I will gladly reply. I will gladly laugh and have a good time. So yeah. Anyways, bro, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. If you listen this far, comment down below that you listened to the whole video, you watched the whole video. And yeah, I really appreciate you, and I thank you for tuning in and listening this far. We out. Peace.